Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for taking the time to tune in and listen to my videos, my podcasts. Today I am going to be doing a really hardcore one on the cold, hard truth of Gemini. I know a lot of you, this is a sign that really has a lot of problems. People have a lot of problems with Gemini, and Geminis also have a lot of problems as well. So first of all, before I start the video, I just want to say that I did do a light side and dark side video about the Gemini, and you can go and find that on my channel if you'd like to. The dark side is quite confronting, and I did try to be as gentle as I could be. Please bear in mind that I'm only looking at the sun signs here. So we're only looking at the sun sign part of this. We're not looking at the ascendant. We're not looking at where the nodes are. We're not looking at where the moon or Venus, nothing like that. We're just purely focusing on the sun sign of this little series that I'm doing, where I'm doing a very simplistic and straightforward video that is just like a sledgehammer, and that's why I'm doing it. But if you want more in-depth stuff, you can go back and see those videos because they are available. Okay, so first up, everything that I say comes from experience. It's not something that I read. It's not something that someone else said. It all comes from my life experience, and that's what I am sharing in my videos. So it is truthful, and it is not my intention to upset you. And it can only hurt you if it's true anyway. So that's the truth. So let's get started. So this is the most dangerous sign in the zodiac. Geminis are terrifying to deal with, and it's just an internal mystery. That's what they really are. These guys have the archetype of many different personalities, or many different sides to them, should I say. And we are all multidimensional beings. Like, no one's just one fixed thing. So we're happy and we're sad and we're mad, and we go through, we experience all of these emotions through our life, through our journey. And Gemini is not so much about emotion, but it's about facets of psychology. So they are the opposite energy frequency to the Pisces, and they are also on the wheel, the opposite energy frequency to Sagittarius. So these guys need to be free, and they need to have a connection in the mind. That is what they want. They need to understand you, your psychology, and then they need you to understand them in their psychology so that they can feel seen. If you can't understand a Gemini, or the Gemini doesn't feel that you understand them, then it's all a complete waste of time as far as a Gemini is concerned, and they'll just play around with you. Now, that's the thing. When I say dangerous, this sign could very easily lead someone to suicide. This sign could very easily lead someone to a very dark place. And a very cruel, sadistic Gemini can be why I say the most dangerous, because once they understand you and they understand your psychology and your triggers and your fears and your vulnerabilities, they can use that in a way against you and then gaslight you on it. No one can gaslight another person like a Gemini can. They can out gaslight a gaslighter. And I think that's the thing about them, is that you can't out Gemini. You can't out Gemini a Gemini. It's not going to happen. What they really want is, or what they really are, should I say, is a psychological mirror of the mind. So Pisces is a mirror of the heart. They mirror back to you what you are in the heart, and Gemini mirrors back the mind. So what you feel in your mind, what you in your intellectual side of you, is where they are at. So what they tend to do in the cold hard truth of the dark side of it is they want to build a connection with you so that you feel that you're starting to fall for them. So they mirror back what you give them, very much like a psychopath or a narcissist. That's why a psychopathic Gemini is very, very dangerous, because they want the power that comes with you feeling understood by them. And then what they do, they show that back to you, and they build something with you that, that could have potential could have potential to go somewhere, and then what they will do is they will completely abandon you once they feel in control. Once they create a dynamic of a relationship or a marriage or a connection with you that you felt safe in, and then tomorrow they'll wake up and they'll be obviously a different person, because the person that they were yesterday isn't the person today, and whatever they said yesterday means nothing today. So it's a contradiction. They are a walking, talking contradiction, and it all goes by their mood and their external environment and what they're interacting with. And so they'll abandon you, and then they'll have probably other people on a rotation, much like the dark side of Sag. And if that person matches their mood for that time, then they'll go connect with that person that matches the mood for that time. Kind of like they kind of, in a way, it's really fucked up. They actually see, because we're talking about a gorgeous brain here. We're talking about an intellectual giant here. You're merely a mortal. To the brain of a Gemini is godlike. That's their thing. So they'll just abandon you, and then they'll go on to someone else and someone else and someone else. And their whole life is just a series of platonic relationships that stop, start, much like the Sag. And the problem is, as we get older, it starts to kind of build up, and it just goes on and on and on. And it's just kind of like, it's just a very dangerous thing, because part of the illusion of Gemini is that they're interested in truth, but they're also interested in bending and distorting the truth. So they can look at it from multiple angles and then change something that could be a lie into a truth, or a truth could be a lie. Much like a lawyer that might be a Gemini would be a very dangerous thing. They can withhold morality to bend something in the favor of their gain, regardless of whether it's actually morally right or wrong. So I hope that made sense. And Geminis always need to be off the hook. And because of that ability to twist and bend and mold truth and reality, or how people around them see reality or even see them, they can control the narrative of other people's lives in a way that no one else really can. A Scorpio kind of can, but not like a Gemini. Okay, so that's kind of the thing, is that it's a moving, energetic thing that's like got ADHD. A lot of Geminis have ADHD, so they're always, hyper, phonetic, fiddly, twitchy, movie, jumpy, neurotic, picking something, skin off, cutting themselves or scratching something. They can't sit still, and because their brain is so advanced, their whole life, if they get bored, they become restless, and then they become depressed. So they can't get the connection, because basically you're a lot lower than they are intellectually. And so they're always miles ahead in the classroom, and then they've got to sit there and wait for everyone to catch up with them. And then they just get bored and their head's out the window somewhere else. So they like to try on different feelings psychologically of what it feels like to be different people. So that's the thing, you never know what you're going to get. You could get any character. That's the thing that's so dangerous, is that they play these characters so well that they can convince even themselves that they are that character. And I've happened to come across quite a lot of really sadistic and psychotic Geminis that will take on the persona of, like something they watched on TV. A lot of them are actors, and they are very, very good at acting. Some of the greatest actors in the world are Geminis, but that's just it. It's an act. It's not real. And so the problem is, how far can this ever really go? If it's not real, then it can't really sustain long term. And that's why nothing around a Gemini ever really lasts long term. A lot of them can't hold stable, loving, caring relationships that are safe. And when I say safe, I mean that they're not going to disappear and ghost you and walk out the door any second. Because to a Gemini, they like the paradigm of having the safety of a relationship, but they don't want to bring safety into the relationship. And so it's a real double standard that they have. It's that they're allowed to hurt you, walk all over you, use you and discard you and leave you in the dirt. And then you just have to pick up the pieces. And then if you try and hold them accountable for how they made you feel based on their behavior, it was, I never said that. I never did that, did I? No, you've got it wrong. You've just misinterpreted me. They do that shit to you, so that whole gaslighting thing, it's very, very frustrating to deal with. And that's why this sign is the most hated sign, point blank. Second to that would be probably Aries. Cancer would be probably the third on the chart, and then Scorpio, probably the most hated. Gemini is the most hated because they're always off the hook. They need a way to get off the hook. They're always looking for an angle that they can manipulate something in their favor. So as we all do things, we're all creatures of desire, we're creatures of motivation, and so their motivations are constantly shifting. And they don't want to be understood. They're an eternal mystery, okay? They're shifty as fuck. That's just what they are. Now, a lot of women, I know if you've had a Gemini husband, or if you are married to a Gemini, or you are dating a Gemini and you're a woman listening to this podcast, this is going to sound hard to hear, but most, or if not all, Geminis are bisexual. Okay. Also, if you've got your moon in Gemini and you're a male, this could also be a big problem too. Bisexuality is a thing there, and there's nothing wrong with it. But the problem is it's that in-between state where I can be this and I can be that at one time. And so it is quite dangerous when you are in a relationship with them, because they have an itch that they need to scratch, and you can't give that to them because you're not a male. You don't have a dick. You have a clit, okay? So they want you, but they don't want you. And that's the contradiction of a relationship with a Gemini. I love you, come near me, kiss me. Now don't fucking touch me, get away from me. So it's very bipolar. Sorry, not bipolar, borderline personalities. And that's the thing. So Cancers have the borderline personalities and Geminis have the bipolar. Cancers have the bipolar. Sorry, the mood, that's a mood disorder. And the Gemini has the multiple people, kind of all these drivers on the clutch, trying to drive this vehicle of their life at all times. So it is very dangerous. Now, I'm not saying all Geminis are like this. Obviously, this is a darker sided trait. The problem here is that particularly with society, it's based on social hierarchical levels, and how they all interact with each other is how we interact with each other. So a lot of bisexual men will usually have a little lover on the side, or they're on some kind of app where they're hooking up, and basically, they're creating that dynamic with another person, and then they can discard the other person. So they are very, monogamy to a Gemini is not possible. It's not going to happen. These guys are the least monogamous sign, just like the Sagittarius. They need to be free. And the only way to really be with them is to let them be who they are and let them be free and let them feel like they can walk out the door any moment. So with the bisexual thing, getting back to the danger of that, what they do is they actually will pull someone who's come out as gay back into the closet with them and reverse them and really head fuck them, because a lot of bisexual and closeted men, or even straight men, use gay men for sex because gay men are lower in society than they are. And so in order to, let's get real. So let's just be fucking honest. In order to fetishize another person or a human being, we have to take out the human element of that. So we're going to be reducing them to a body part or something that we just come in and leave. And it's very transactional, which is very, very dangerous for another person's self-esteem and motivation. And for a lot of gay men that don't really understand affection or how to have a stable, healthy relationship dynamic, because they've never had love given to them, are actually a vibrational match to this type of behavior. So they actually confuse things like rape or abuse as love, which it's actually not. So I hope that made sense. That's very hard to hear, but it's the truth. And Geminis are very big on this, as culprits of this. So they like to have their cake and eat it too. It's always, different. It's always got to be in their kind of code. But the thing is, their code makes no sense, and it's always jumbled, and it's always moving, and it's always shifting and changing. So it's like the wind. And we know that, Gemini is an air sign. And so air has no form. So it just kind of takes on the shape of things around it if it goes into something. I hope that makes sense. Now, they're very naturally gifted when it comes to moving, jumping, spring jumping. They'd be like a little ninja. They're very good at things like that, like snow skiing. They need adventure. These guys are thrill seekers, so you have to keep them on their toes intellectually. You've got to make them feel like their partner or the person that they're attracted to has they're limitless. Like, you've got to feel limitless to a Gemini to attract a Gemini. If you're just one dimensional and you're playing basically Geminis don't like dumb people, because there's nothing of value to the Gemini there unless they can manipulate you and use you. A dark Gemini will always position themselves in a place that's higher than you. So that's that ghosting thing again. The person who can leave the relationship the first is the one who can regain control. It's a power move. Or they will choose a partner at times that are weaker or dumb or less intelligent than they, or less, should I say nicely, less self-aware than they are. That way they can control the other partner more easily. And the other partner won't know that, but Gemini won't get all their needs met in that regard, so they'll just keep you where they need you, and they'll have other people going on at one time. So this is a sign that will have multiple partners and multiple lives at one time. It's not uncommon for Geminis to have even multiple families at one time. Think of them like a train line with 2 tracks or even more numbers of tracks than that. And they're all running parallel, all these different lives that they've created, like multiple personalities, but they never touch. They never ever bleed over into each other. They're very good like that. They're very, very sneaky. They're very, very cunning. Okay. And Gemini, some of them can be very, very evil. Okay. They can use this. If they are sociopathic and they lack the empathy, then you're just a toy that they play with, and then when they're done, you have to go back into your box and disappear. I'm not in the mood for you, so you have to just pretend you don't exist. And then the urge will come back again later for them to use you, and then they will use you again, wheel you back in, tell you something, feed you some bullshit, feed you what they have already figured out that you want to hear, because they understand your psychology, and then they fuck you off. And it's really, really horrible, but that is the truth. So they are a walking, talking contradiction. That's the only thing that a Scorpio is actually consistent in, is their own contradiction of themselves. So like I said, yes, who they were yesterday or the person that you go to bed with tonight will not be the person that you wake up with in the morning. That is just how they are. They're very flighty, and they have to have something that's constantly stimulating them. So they don't like locking anything in. So that's that commitment thing again. They don't like the idea of, a very common one a Gemini might say is, I'm commitment phobic. No, that's actually not true. You can't have commitment phobia. You can only have fear of loss of options. Okay. So to tell a Gemini that you have loss of options is like toxic to their soul. They really hate that, because then they feel trapped in that paradigm. So that's why they're always changing it up and have to keep it, because the different parts of them needs to be met. We're dealing with a person that's multifaceted in that regard. So they have a lot in, a lot of things that need to be explored. So you need to have a Gemini as a partner, you have to be willing to explore life with them like an adventurer, but you have to be willing to understand that you may be abandoned at any moment, or until they find something that's more amusing, and then they'll just fuck you off. Now, the good thing is when Gemini is committed to something that they're really passionate about, that they really enjoy, Gemini will see things through to the end. So they will stay focused, and they are very hardworking and dedicated to their tasks. So I will say that is the truth. They will come up against all the challenges that they come up against, and they see that the positive side of a Gemini is that they see that as life. Life is adversity. The point of life is adversity, because adversity creates chaos, and chaos we have to work to. It's like whack-a-mole, where one problem pops up, the next problem pops in, fix that problem, and that other problem pops up. So the truth of it, Gemini is the ultimate problem solver. They are the ultimate puzzle solver. So they're very, very good with, they need mental problem solving to chew up mental energy, not going to the gym and running around on, like a Sagittarian or a Leo or an Aries needs physical activity. Gemini needs mental activity. It's all about what's happening in the mind. A lot of them are not so much concerned with the material world. They'd rather have a connection to a higher thing than themselves, than really worry about the next, Gucci bag or, Louis Vuitton shoes or some shit like that. They're not really concerned so much with materialism. The light side ones are, but the darker Geminis are all about status and manipulation, and they see coming into a business and then climbing their way to the top very quickly through being able to overthrow everyone by backstabbing them and manipulation to get to the tippy top. Because that getting into those roles, it requires a psychology that is cutthroat, and they can do that. They're very goal focused, which is actually probably a good thing, but of course it can be taken the wrong way as well. So at the best of times, they are multitaskers, so they have to be doing multiple things at one time. No one can multitask like a Gemini. They can do all these different things at one time, and it's really quite incredible how they can do that. They can write a novel in a couple of weeks if they really put their mind to it. They don't know when to shut up. They're always kind of interrupting you when you're talking, and they're always overriding you because they've already figured out what you're about to say before you even say it. So it can be quite upsetting because you never can kind of get a word in, and then you don't feel like they've really heard you but they did hear you. It's just that they heard inside of your brain. That's the level of intelligence that we are dealing with here. And I don't really think that Geminis want to be understood. The moment that you understand them, they're already shifting into a different stream, shifting into a different state of consciousness. So it's like a bottomless pit with the Geminis. Now, they are very good with arguments. They can construct an argument very well. They're very good at putting together something that can oppose another person's mindset, which is very good. And that's really one of the best things about them. Like I said, they're very good with law, taking something and shifting it, changing it, expanding it. They're all about that. They're all about expansion, just like a Sag. You can't just be a one-dimensional character. That's why Geminis have a lot of trouble with the earth signs, because the earth moves too slow. Gemini is moving very, very fast. It's that mercurial energy, which is through Mercury, which is all about technology, moving at the speed of light, and communication. So that's what they're all about. But anything that could be confining to them, that must be destroyed. So yeah, they leave a trail of destruction throughout their lives. They break a lot of hearts, and they always find a way generally to distort what you thought they did back onto you. So it's really quite painful in that regard. If they've hurt you and they're not able to own that, then it's all your fault. It's never their fault. And they're not going to change, so you have to come to terms with that. So if you're wanting neurotic, crazy fun, then the Gemini is the way to go. So it is an adventure, and a lot of them like to get out. They like to live life. They like to dance. They like music. They like the music turned up really loud. A lot of different songs playing at one time. It's just really a big part of how they are. They can do a lot of damage, like I said, particularly if they don't like you. They can pretty much slice your jugular and just let you bleed out on the floor, and they will show no empathy and no compassion. That's how they play. These guys don't fuck around. I would not fuck around with a dark Gemini, although I have recently encountered a dark Gemini. So you have to really, once you get your head around how to deal with them, then you know where you stand with them. But part of the problem that Gemini tends to never understand why no one likes them, or they feel like they're hated, is because no one knows where the fuck they stand with Gemini. That's why they're so untrustworthy, because in life, sometimes you have to choose a side and be loyal to that side. And Gemini doesn't like doing that. It just wants to be whatever it wants to be on the day, on the mode, in the moment kind of thing. And then people obviously can't trust that because it's not stable. And that's why they can't build those stable relationships with other people that can actually last the test of time, because it's not real. Yeah. So yeah, it's a big part of it there. But yeah, they're really good. I mean, in terms of, they can be, as kids, they're very disagreeable. They're always disagreeing with everything around them. That's because they've come into this experience to try and destroy the old ways and smash down the old rules. These guys don't want to follow rules. They want to rewrite the rule book, so that in that way they're quite good. That's just the fucking truth. So yeah, they're very good like that. They're very flexible, as you said, they're like moldy clay. I think of in the Fantastic Four, that scientist that can stretch a lot. That's the perfect analogy of a Gemini. And their decor changes all the time to match the phase. A lot of them make up characters, make up different names. They probably have 4 or 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different names. Sometimes I'll wake up and they won't even know which name they were today, or who they are today. It's kind of like going into that wardrobe meme and just kind of taking something off the coat hanger. Like, this is the character that I want to be today. And they'll play it brilliantly. They'll be the businessman in the suit and tie on Wall Street. And then they'll be the doting husband. And then they'll be the gay man at the bar. They could be anyone. And you never know, all at one time. And they don't like being called out on that either, because it's kind of blowing their cover. Yeah, they're very twisted in a lot of ways. A lot of them are quite twisted. That's probably the best word of it. And when it comes to sex, it's got to be all in the mind. It's got to be dark. It's probably got to be, very kinky. It's got to be like mind control, like hypnosis. A lot of them end up as hypnotherapists, or a lot of them end up as psychologists. They're more than happy to unpack your, this sign wants to help everybody else. They want to fix everybody else. But most of the time, they're the least likely person to actually really take a look at themselves and do some fucking real shadow work. But they're more than happy to build a business talking about shadow work. Like I said, they're very contradictory, which is why they are, the way that they are. So I hope that you're enjoying this video. Where are we at for time? Let's have a quick look. I hope that you've picked up a fair bit. 26 minutes. I think we might just leave it here. I'll think of a couple of more things to say, and then I will head off the dark side, or not even the dark side, just the cold hard truth. These guys are electric and they need to be charged, turbocharged. So they like to get around people that excite them, that motivate them. They need something that gives them engages them and gives them this kind of thrill. They need to feel alive. They like to, I had a friend that was a Gemini, and they will eat like raw coffee beans and just swallow it down. So when the coffee hits their bloodstream, they get that rush. Like, that's why a lot of them would like to go into drugs or have experimented with drugs, because they are very experimental. Although drugs don't really tend to work well with the Gemini, because Gemini with sex wants to get in your mind. And the act of having a fuck is more about connectivity to another person. But taking a drug is about removing yourself outside of this plane of reality. So you wouldn't really be present with them during sex if they were on drugs. So that's another thing that can, really go sideways pretty quick. But yeah, it's 1 million. They want you and they don't want you. They want 1 million, and then they want 1,000,001. So I'm going to say the same thing I said in the Sag video. If they ghosted you, if they hurt you, try not to internalize it too much. And trust me, I know what I'm talking about when I say don't internalize it. It's just because they're fucked. Okay, they're absolutely fucked, and they're not going to change. That's who they are. And if you want to be around them and you need this, you get something out of their dynamic with the Gemini, then you keep them around. But the moment they start getting crazy and unstable and it makes you feel unsafe, you fuck them off, and before they get you. Like, that's kind of what it's like. Now, I want to say the good thing about them, there is a really beautiful side to the Gemini. They can undo you. They can undo your mind. They can unravel your mind. They can own your mind. They can get in your mind as they do. Like, they make great shamans. Yep. They also make great healers. So they can heal you and they can destroy you. They have the gift of that level. When you understand someone, when it comes to love, we take in the other person as a part of ourselves. So we have to understand who they are in their psychology, so that we're able to bring them in close to us. So that's what Gemini does. But once they understand that psychology, they can use it against you and they can unravel you. So that's part of what they can do. But yes, there are some really beautiful Geminis out there, and they are capable of profound loyalty if they have done the shadow work, and depending on where their moon sign is as well. But of course, but yeah, I will leave it here. Thank you so much for listening to my cold hard truth on Gemini. I hope that you found this video insightful. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure that you subscribe and leave a comment below. I'd love to read your thoughts. Did I get it right? Did I get it wrong? Share your experiences with the cold hard truth that you've found with Gemini. So I'll leave it here, and see you in the next video. Bye.